Hello and welcome to the Hero Spouse. I'm Kenda Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have Jeanette. Jeanette has a bomb drop of March 28th, 2023, a date of marriage of 1993. She has a low energy wallower who is an off and on. She says, I have two questions. And these are very basic questions rather than specific to Jeanette's situation. Although there's some specific, a little bit. She says, does the type of MLCer change over time? Because it appears that mine was a low energy wallower initially. And that's how she just has rated him in my intake. But he seems more high energy 11 months in. The affair came out, there's been drinking and partying. Second question. There appears to be more than one type of fog, MLC fog, depression fog, and affair fog. Do these overlap? Or are they basically just the same fog with different components? So first, do MLCers change over time? Yes and no. I mean, in other words, I notice a lot of consistency in the type you're talking about, energy type, low energy versus high energy. Low energy wallowers try to be high energy replayers often in the beginning, and they fail at it. And they may try multiple times, and they just can't take. So the other thing about that is I often don't want to have a finalized diagnosis of what they are until 12 months in to really see how things play out and they get solidified in this crisis. But saying that, if you've seen that he was more consistently low energy, he may be going through I'm trying to be high energy because that's a lot more fun. And low energy people do that. They want to be the avoidant. And the depression with the low energy, they aren't able to avoid that. It just doesn't work for them. So he may be getting successful in avoiding if this lasts longer because he's drinking, he's partying, and there's an alienator. So alienators can change those dynamics completely anyway. Maybe he's finally found some success because low energy wallowers, maybe they just don't find an alienator that it takes and it sends them into depression. And if they had found one, maybe they would have been high energy. I'm sure there's personality types that are prone to one or the other, but for some, it is going to depend on the context, how lucky they get with the alienator they hit. So, on to your next question about MLC fog. Well, first thing, remember, we're just talking in metaphors. We use this to describe how foggy their minds are, how they don't remember things well, or they are not logical, or sometimes they can't function, and sometimes they can function quite well in different compartments. So you've said affair fog and depression fog and midlife crisis fog. First thing, all midlife crisis is depression. We could call it depression. We do. We could call it midlife depression instead of midlife crisis. So that would be the same kind of thing, just using two different words. Affair fog, that would be limerence. Are they different or are they parts of the same thing? I want to say both. And what I mean by that is if you are limerent for somebody and you're not at a midlife crisis, I'm assuming what you are talking about as fog is present as limerence, regardless of whether there is a midlife crisis or not. Now, those are going to overlap. They're going to intertwine. And let's look at fog or smoke. Smoke is smog plus fog, but it's a gaseous. It's in the air. It intersperses. It'll fill up a room. Now you have two different fogs. Let's color them so that you have a pink and a blue. The room might start to look lavender because they overlap. They combine. Now we can no longer see where one ends and the other begins. Now it's just looking purple. So if you get a limerence fog and the other MLC/depression fog, yeah, it's not just overlapping, but they're going to intertwine. They're going to become attached and enmeshed, just like we talk about attachment, detachment for your healing. Those fogs are going to become enmeshed, intertwined with each other, where you can't tell the difference. But that doesn't mean that if you were limerent without MLC, you wouldn't have a fog, because I think that is a limerence, a fair fog. If that answers that question. I'm not sure, because I'm sure the other thing is when we all say fog, there are probably little different things we mean about that fog, or that we see in the fog that others don't. And so you might be seeing something that is making you think that, and somebody else might not see those things. So my view of it is MLC and depression, same thing. And a fair fog is probably limerence. And you can have limerence outside of midlife crisis as well. Okay, so I know this one was fast, but I hope it's helpful, and I will see you all in the next question.